Two charters are due at Carlisle today. The Edinburgh Summer Explorer from Leeds to Edinburgh, steam-hauled to Carlisle, then diesel-worked over Beatock to the capital, and the Settle to Carlisle and Coastal Pullman from Severn Tunnel Junction to Carlisle, running north via the Settle and Carlisle line and returning by the equally scenic Cumbrian Coast. The train from Leeds is scheduled to arrive at Carlisle at 09:14, and that is an impossible time to manage by public transport from my home in Scotland. I decide to bite the bullet and take an early taxi to reach Dumfries. Ever since the pandemic, taxis have been in short supply, and I'm not able to book one. I then discover that the steam loco has been replaced by a Class 45 diesel. Much as I'd love to see it and film it, I'll have to settle for catching it on its evening return. The Coastal Pullman is the Midland Pullman set, and I have ambitious plans for that. The Blue Pullman arrives 2 minutes early after its 306-mile journey. This is the second time I have filmed it within 5 days, so something different is called for. I'm aiming for Cumbria's least used station, the isolated and little-served halt at Nethertown. Few trains stop there, but the timetable shows that it should be possible to arrive there, film the passing Pullman, and catch a return train to Carlisle. Whilst at the other end of the train, The Pullman stock moves off to Upperby Depot to be serviced in preparation for the slightly shorter return journey, but longer time-wise because of the long stretches of very slow running along the Cumbrian coast. My friend Michael joins me for the coastal jaunt, despite our experience on our last coastal filming trip, when we were very lucky to have got home at all. A study of the timetables whilst travelling along the coast shows that we won't get back to Carlisle from Nethertown in time to catch the 45-hauled Leeds train. So we opt for Whitehaven instead, where at least the Pullman will have to come to a halt. This is because the line is single track for the 11 miles between Whitehaven and Sellafield. The driver must obtain a token authorising him to enter this section from a machine on the station platform. Bransty Signal Box. The present station was originally Whitehaven Bransty, before being renamed in 1968 simply Whitehaven. Our train must carry out the same procedure, and we see the driver holding up the token to show the guard that he's cleared to enter the single section to the passing place at St. Bees. The train will now enter the long tunnel under Hospital Hill to emerge at Corkicle Station. Michael and I now go our separate ways. He will remain on the station to photograph the Pullman, whilst I head for the shore to launch the drone. A suitable spot, although it is a popular path for walkers. In the intense sunlight, I need to cover my head with a thick black cape to be able to see the drone's control screen. The camera, there to record a soundtrack, also films the passers-by, and I get some funny looks, although I can't see them at the time. In the hazy heat, visibility isn't all that I'd hoped for. The Scottish coast is visible, just, and the Isle of Man has disappeared. Whitehaven bus station, Wetherspoons next door to it, and the Queen's Dock. Well, they do say that the harbour has a colourful history. In its heyday, there was a substantial international freight traffic here, and every wharf was served by the railway. In the foreground, the Beacon Museum, and in the background, St. Bees Head. A prominent landmark, the Candlestick Chimney. Looking up the Firth now, those with eagle eyes or a good monitor will spot a typical northern 156 unit on the hourly service from Carlisle to Barrow-in-Furness, making its way slowly beneath the cliffs as it heads towards Parton. The windmills on the extreme left of the picture are the wind farm on Copperas Hill, with Harrington behind them. And now, with Workington's mills and structures in view in the far distance, the blue Pullman puts in its first appearance. But you'll need keen eyesight to spot it, so let's jump ahead a little. There's a short stretch of single track here, with a 15 miles per hour speed limit, giving the passengers plenty of time to enjoy the views as they tuck into their 5-course dinners. Through Parton Station, which until recently was one of many request stops along this route. All except Nethertown and Braystones have now become mandatory stops. We're now running alongside the King Charles III England Coast Path, which provides fine viewing points for train lovers to watch the regular 156 passenger trains, the frequent nuclear flask trains, and the occasional charter trains, more commonly steam-hauled along the coast.
Point up
On the left is the site of the former William Pit, where in 1947 104 miners lost their lives in a violent underground explosion. A memorial stone to all the men, women and children who died here during its 150 years of operation sits on top of the old shaft. Visible in the extreme lower left of the picture. The driver goes to the token cupboard on the platform to obtain the necessary clearance to enter the long single track section. The dead-end platform 1 to the right is now used by trains from Carlisle which terminate here. The track originally continued into the harbour, but the station was much bigger in those days. Surprisingly few enthusiasts on the platform, but then it's only 5 days since its last call here. Steam would have attracted a bigger crowd. Above the tunnel sits the Church of St. James, and facing it is the first of several tunnel ventilation shafts. This must have been a smoky spot back in the steam age. A final glimpse of Whitehaven before heading back to the station to find my Carlisle train is running 10 minutes late.
Thank you for travelling with Northern today. We hope that you have a pleasant onward journey.
Carlisle Junction, but we know that the southbound charter is already sitting in the citadel. Heading for Upperby. All set to depart for Leeds via the Settle and Carlisle line.
The 47's printed in Elmer's black too.
The 257s in LMS black.
Oh, yeah.
As the Explorer heads off to Leeds and I prepare for my journey home, thanks for watching, and here's to the next time.